Welcome to Whispers of Resilience, our MS Stories podcast, where Justine Martin, the Queen of Resilience, sits down with each incredible author featured in this highly anticipated anthology. In this captivating series, we delve into the depths of each author's chapter, exploring the hows and whys behind their desire to share their experiences with multiple sclerosis. Prepare to be inspired as these courageous souls recount their triumphs, their challenges, and the resilience that fuels their spirits.
Welcome back, listeners, to Whispers of Resilience, our MS Stories. Today, I've got Candice. How are you, Candice?
Oh, I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah, don't ask. Next question. I've done my back, so I'm struggling at the moment, and my arm's playing up. But anyway, thanks for asking. I'm just going to say I'm fine. You know, we do that, us MSs, don't we? Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. Yeah.
Yep. As good as can be with MS, yes.
Yes, that's right, as we grit through the pain or whatever's happening with our bodies. Candice, why did you decide that you wanted to write a chapter into this book?
Yeah, I saw the post on Facebook and I really thought about it intently and thought this is something I think I've always wanted to do is to publish writing, and also I think to be able to help people who are in their early stages, especially. I felt that I was quite alone in my journey early on, and I was only 18 when I started having symptoms, 25 when I had this really serious symptoms, and I just felt very alone. And so if there's a way that we can reach out to those people and assure them that everything's going to be okay, it's not great, but you will come through to the other end, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that seems to be the common theme with a lot of the authors that have done this project. We are going to do it again. So if you're out there and you're listening and think, oh, I'd really like to share my story, get in contact with me, because we're going to try and do this annually, putting it forward until a point where it becomes a history book and not a reference book anymore, but a history book on the time where there is a cure and people won't know what it's like to actually live with MS. Yeah. So, Candice, was there something that you forgot to write in your chapter, or we were capped on a word limit on there? So was there something that when you submitted it and got your e-proof back and everything, it's like, oh, I wish I'd written this in there, all that. Now's the time you can mention that.
Yeah, look, I think after reading it and reflecting upon it, I think it would have been good to be able to flesh out more of how it affected the people around me, and what it was like for me watching them. I know when I was first very ill in hospital, I really intently watched the people around me and how it affected them, and how they really did fall apart. And I felt like I had to hold myself together and suppress that. I think the other thing I would have liked to put in there is how the system, I think, can treat us, sometimes in great ways, but I think quite often there's a negative side to it. I did touch on it on my chapter, but I think there's some there's positive and negatives. There's great things about NDIS and there's not so great things about NDIS, and just be able to share and go as well, you know, you can overcome it, that it's not all doom and gloom, and to just share what resources have been helpful for me.
Yeah. And I mean, that is right about NDIS. You know, there's good parts in the system and there's some real faults that need to be fixed. And hopefully they're working on that. I mean, this project has come about from the writing group, and the book has been the bonus from that. And you know, I'm so grateful that there is NDIS. My life would be totally different from it. My quality of life would be what would be different.
Definitely, and and access to services and simple things like a bar rail beside your bed. You know, just being able to get access to things like that, just to make it easier to start your day in the morning. So,
yeah,
very grateful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. and someone just to vacuum your floors or clean your baths or clean your shower or something like that. What able-bodied people take for granted, we have to stop and think twice. Or am I going to have enough energy to do that today? What else have I got on? If I do that, I'm wiped out. I can't go meet my girlfriends for a cuppa, or I can't go pick the kids up from school, or how am I going to help with their homework? How am I going to cook dinner if I put all my energy into this thing over there? So
that's right.
Yeah. So tell me, when you were writing your chapter, what was the process that you went through?
I did a lot of thinking. I did more thinking than writing, I think. And I went through periods throughout the week of thinking, wake up the middle of the night, thinking about what I wanted to, what perspective I wanted to write it from, trying to make it less negative, because there's times when you get frustrated and you go, I just want to tell everybody what it's really like, but it's not really all like that. So lots of thinking, and then when I actually got to the writing, I think it was quite short. So it all just came out with the thinking that I'd done. So just writing out dot points about the main parts that I wanted and fleshing it out that way. And really thinking about, what I wanted the outcome to be for somebody who's caring for somebody with MS or is embarking on their journey with MS.
So would you have some advice for someone who is caring for someone with MS?
Yeah. For yourself, get support, I think.
So the carer gets support?
The carer gets support, because I think we sort of go, I can do this. And like you said, I can vacuum or I can do this. But actually, it takes the village. It's like raising a baby, I think. And I don't mean people with MS are like babies. I mean as in the community coming together. I think we need to see it as in we need the community to support the carers. And as MS sufferers, we often, and you're probably the same, Justine, of, I'll be okay and I'll be okay. And I think carers get the same way, I'll be okay. And we don't rely upon the supports enough. And then we end up in a situation where it's really bad because inevitably things happen, the proverbial happens. And then we go, what now? But if we have those things in place before it gets really bad, then all we're doing is just accessing the supports when we really need it. It just makes it a whole lot easier.
It is definitely a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness as well. Now, my chapter, because I was a child whose parent had MS, and then I became her primary carer. So my chapter, I do brush on what it's like to be a carer of someone with MS. And Alison, who's in the book as well, Alison Brown, her and I are running a podcast together called MS Unmasked. And it's funny you talk about carers, because yesterday we recorded a carers podcast, and the whole session was talking about what it's like to be a carer of someone with MS and my personal experience with it. And we're going back 26 years ago, minimum 26 years ago, 30 years ago from it. And there were no supports whatsoever. But and in a small country town, there was nothing. Whereas now there are organisations that do help with carers. So there's like Carers Victoria and Carers Australia, where people can make contact, or you can go to your doctor and get a mental health care plan done and go and see a counsellor, where it's not costing you a great deal of money to do that. Yeah, the wait lists are terrible. But if you are struggling out there and you are a carer and you just need someone to talk to, you can pick up the phone and call Lifeline.
Yes.
And not many people realise that that's what you can do, and they can help you and put you in the right direction as well. And I think as a carer as well, you need to take care of your own self-care. And that tends to get forgotten, that they're focusing on the person with the disability or someone who's sick, and they don't tend to then focus on themselves. Whereas that oxygen mask theory comes into play so much when you're a carer, that, you can't, the air hostess always says, make sure that you put your own oxygen mask on first before you help the person next to you, even if it's a child. And that's the same as a carer. Make sure that you are taking your own self-care needs first, exercising, eating properly, drinking your water, your mental health, and taking time out as well from it. Or you're going to be cactus for the person that you're looking after and then yourself. Would you agree, Candice?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else that you would have written in your chapter?
I think I wrote it from a quite a serious perspective, and I think there's some fun to be had, I think, as well sometimes. And I think if I was to, let's say, do another one, it would be something around the humour around it. I think in my work I try to use a bit of humour, and it can really help people cope. Excuse me. And I think there's some humour to be had, that we need to be able to laugh at ourselves.
And some of the funny things that we do and don't mean to do. Yeah. Have you got an example, Candice, of anything?
My husband and I laugh that I've got a disabled sticker on my car, and I remember there was a meme with a guy wearing a shirt, and it had the disabled sticker on the shirt, and it has pointing to his partner. It says, "I'm in it for the parking," and the partner's disabled. And you've got to have things like that, I think, to be able to, to be able to laugh.
Some people would find that mortifying, but for those of us with a disability, yeah.
And you have to, don't you? You've got to have a bit of black humour, a bit of sense of humour about it, like Tim Ferguson,
Yeah, you say that because, I don't know about you with your disability parking, but mine, I get abused because, I get out, I don't look like I'm disabled, and, it's normally grumpy old men, sorry to the men out there, but it's normally the grumpy old men that are the ones that'll say something, and I'm like, mate, you can have my car park, but it's a package deal. I've got to take my NS with it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Deal, mate. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah. I think I sometimes get looks, and then until I pull out my walking stick, and then it's like people then look the other way, and then it's like, oh, okay, she is disabled. But yeah, I find my kids will
justify with a walking stick. So, I don't often use a mobility device unless I'm really bad. The symptoms are playing up. But, I'm fine to walk in the shops the majority of the time, but then I fatigue out walking around for so long. And my car was parked on the other end of the car park. It's a long bloody walk when there's no seats to get back to that.
Yeah, yep. And if you're unexpectedly hot, the aircon's not working in a shop, and you're lined up, and then you get the heat fatigue, and you start getting.
I don't get that one. I don't get.
You don't get. Oh, that's right. No. You don't get the heat fatigue, do you? Oh, you're lucky.
I'm the cold one.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here today, and I can barely feel my legs because they are ice.
Yeah, wow.
And my feet, and I'm thinking, all right, how much time have I got between podcast interviews today? Can I jump in the shower and warm up? My best purchase in consumables lately has been an electric throw rug.
Oh, nice.
And it's made a difference this year because, especially to my gas and power bills, because I normally have the heater up around 26, 28, trying to get the house warm enough for me to warm up.
Yeah.
And then this year, after I got a $440 gas bill for 1 month, I'm like, oh, there's got to be a better way. So the electric throw rug is on me. I now have the heater down to a comfortable 21. And I'm hoping my next gas and power bills will be a lot better, but my legs don't hurt as much then. So you got to adapt around what your disabilities are and look at.
Totally. I say to people around the office that I'm Goldilocks because it's too hot or too cold, and so I have to have it just right all the time, and then it slightly moves, and then my husband just rolls his eyes, or someone in the office just goes, "Oh, get a jacket on, will you?" or "Take your jacket off," or but yeah, so there are some light sides to it where I think does help to cope.
Humour definitely helps with that coping mechanism. So when you wrote your chapter, did you direct it to anyone specific Was it directed to newly diagnosed? Was it directed to?
Yeah, somewhat to newly diagnosed, but I think also for the person to really understand, for the reader to be able to understand that there is hope, and also that it's not pretty. So I think that we can get caught up in a bit of the Instagram culture, of really everything, is someone doing yoga on a beach, and everything's all about lifestyle. And if you're not well, you're doing something wrong in life. But our bodies let us down. Our immune system has let us down. We have no control over that, but we do have some parts that are in our control of our quality of life. And just because we have a chronic illness doesn't mean that we're failing. And so there's ugly parts, but there's also good outcomes despite that.
Yeah, that's right. And, the community as well that MS brings into your life, other people that have MS, your support workers, your medical team, and all of that. And you're right, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, I've got some amazing friendships, and I've been diagnosed now 12 years, and the amount of people that have come into my life directly because of the MS is massive. I wouldn't be sitting here now running Morpheus Publishing unless I'd got MS.
Yep.
So, and I look at everything that I have in my life now, and I'm blessed and happy with my life despite living with multiple sclerosis. And you would be the same, Candice.
Yeah, definitely. And I say that around me meeting my husband, that I probably wouldn't have taken the time to get to know him the day that I met him if I didn't feel like I was on the brink of death. And that sounds like I'm probably giving him a hard time. But it's more around, I was a workaholic and I needed to stop, and my immune system just went, you really need to stop doing this, and just, literally stop my body before I could stop it. So, and then I had the opportunity to actually be mindful of the people around me, and look at my quality of life and where I wanted my life to head. So, I wouldn't have had him. I wouldn't have my 3 beautiful kids and the life that I have. So, yeah, I've got twins that are 10 this Saturday, and I've got a 7-year-old as well, so a little pocket rocket. But so hands are full, very busy, nothing done in halves. So
no, not by the sound of it. What else can we chat about today? Oh, listeners, if you want to purchase your own copy of Whispers of Resilience, you can purchase that through resiliencemindset.com.au, or you can go onto Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of the major platforms, and it'll be available. Also available on Kindle, and we are working on the Audible downloadable version as well. How did you find the whole writing process in doing, I set you a task of what you had to do?
It was good. It was a really good task for self-care. And I think it was in the very beginning where you said, why did you all join? And I really wanted to make it part of my self-discovery, as part of my work. I've got to be quite reflective in my work. And I think I'll tell people stories about having MS, usually more on the fly, or of people going, why have you got a stick? Or why are you in a wheelchair today? And then it sort of comes up. But other than that, I didn't really put MS in my self-care sort of bracket in my life, other than the physical stuff. This was a really good emotional journey to be able to go on, to really think about where my life has taken me over the past 20 odd something years since having symptoms. So I think it was great to have the community and to meet people, hear their stories and go, wow, I'm not alone in this. My struggles have been shared with other people, and I'm not alone in going to the hospital and having these infusions, or, going through MRIs every year and things like that. So
Finding your tribe.
that's it.
Finding your tribe. And we did build that community in the book with all the authors, and there's 26 of us that have contributed into it, and 26 podcasts as well. I'm all talked out, believe it or not. So these listeners are all being filmed in July, ready to drop through September, which is not that far away at all. And you would have got to this this podcast, this vlogcast, through the QR code on each person's chapter. So have you told your family and friends that you've written this?
Yeah, I've told my immediate family and my parents and a couple of my friends, but I haven't, I think, been brave enough to extend a bit further than that. And I started the other day sharing on my Facebook the book. So I've sort of held off a little bit until I got the edited chapter back to go, oh yeah, this is really happening, because I felt like it was this little...
Candice, what were you feeling when you were waiting for the chapter to come back? What did you think was going to come back?
I was nervous. I did check my emails a lot, actually, because I'm thinking, this editor's going to pull this apart. What was she thinking? And we're all human. We kind of go, I could never be able to write something, and they're going to come back and go, why are you writing this? This is terrible. But I was surprised.
Instructions. So before you continue, I'm just going to say to the listeners, the editor did an amazing job with a difficult task. So I told her she was not to over edit. So it wasn't edited to the point of being 100% grammatically correct. I wanted each author's tone and voice to still be reflected in their chapter. If you were writing your own book, Candice, and every chapter was done by you, then you would edit it a lot stricter than what we have. But we tried to keep everyone's voice their own, each chapter, but also flow through each chapter as well. So she had a difficult task on her hand.
Yeah. It was a great experience. And just to see it, come back, and you go, wow, okay, this is actually going to be seen and read by other people, and people I've never met and might never meet. And it was really good.
So that was a reality check of, oh my God, I'm going through this. This is actually happening.
Yeah. And there was also a bit intimidation of actually going, wow, excuse me, of going, wow, people are going to know my story. People, I on the fringe, people might even know me at work and be able to read this. And what will they think of it, and what will they think of my journey? I did have a bit of a worry going, well, will they think that I'm weaker now? Will they see me as in, oh, this person's a sick person? No. And then I went, no, well, actually, if they knew me, and if they really read my chapter and other chapters, they'll see how courageous I think we all are, just like anyone else with a chronic illness. And we're just like everybody else, we just come with a different type of packaging and different type of challenges.
Yeah, and that was a reasoning behind the book as well, is that, people know of MS. I mean, MS Australia and the MS Readathon, and it's amazing how many people in their chapters mention the MS Readathon, including me. So there is that awareness campaign of, and people know of MS, but what people don't know is what MS does on a daily basis to us, and what struggles that we go through. And that's what this book goes through. And by reading everyone's individual stories, they'll be able to see, there is the common thread of MS through there, but we are all so different, and we're so different in our symptoms and the way that we're leading our lives, and what it's done to our lives as well. And not not just the bad things that it's done, but the good things that it has as well. And many people talk about different treatments that they've been on, like some have had the CCSVI and the others have had the HSCT. And we've had to put a glossary in the back of the book because all us MSs know all these terms and what they mean, but Mr. Average or Miss Average who's picking up the book and reads it will have no idea what DMT, MRI, HSCTV. Oh no, that's even the wrong thing there. So all the acronyms of what they are: MS brain farts. Someone wrote the word hullabaloo. I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, we're going to have to put that one in the glossary. So, and also, because we're all Australian and we have Australian words that internationally some people don't know what they are as well. So we've got this glossary in the back of the book, which has been fun to compile all of these and put them in as well. So is there anything else you'd like to mention today, Candice?
Probably not. I think that's pretty much it. It's all in the chapter. I think it's going to be a really great read. I'm looking forward to reading other people's chapters and yours as well, Justine. And
none of the authors have read each other's chapters.
No.
I kept that a secret. And the reason why I did that was because I didn't want someone to compare their chapter to someone else. They are all standalone chapters. They're all brilliantly written. And I didn't want someone to say, oh, her story's better than my story, because you can't compare.
That's right. Because we get into that trap, don't we? Oh, their stories, they're much worse than us. Yeah. So, and we just can't get into that.
Why am I writing my chapter? Why am I contributing to it? And stuff like that. So it was like, no, you can all just write your chapters. And it has been very taxing in reading them about 6 times, each of them, the whole 25 of them, because the 26th one is mine. And but absolutely amazing. I mean, my staff have read it, each chapter that's come in, and obviously the editor and the feedback has just been amazing from this. So, we're hoping the book sells internationally, which it will, and that someone can pick it up who's newly diagnosed and know that their life isn't going to be all doom and gloom, that they can get through it, and the support is there. And then someone who's a carer can pick it up and see that there are some really good tips and hints throughout the book, as well as everyone's story in there. And then others that have had MS for a while can sit down and read it and go, well, I'm not alone. Other people are going through exactly the same thing as what I'm going through. Yeah. But my goal for the book is actually for it to become a history book, that in the future, when there is a cure and people don't know what it was like to live with MS, they can read back through this and know, well, this is why they found a cure for it. So that's my ultimate goal for the book. And, hopefully within our lifetime, Candice, that we see that happen. And, 25% of the profits of this book are going back to MS research, directly to research, and to find us a cure. And they are close to it. And I've had discussions with people from some of the universities in regards to this, and MS Australia. And, we're excited on how close we are to finding that cure. But it all comes down to money, and hence why we're doing the book. Is to contribute back. So again, if you want your own copy of Candice's chapter, and you're one of her friends or family, or just listening from the outside world, you can purchase that through resiliencemindset.com.au or on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Audible, Kindle, wherever we can put it, it will be available. So thank you so much, Candice, for contributing into the book. It's been a pleasure having you part of Morpheus Writing Group.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure as well. And thank you, Justine, for coordinating all of this. It's absolutely wonderful what you're doing for the community.
You're welcome. And remember, everyone, if you've been listening or watching a few of these, you stay healthy until next time.
Are you ready to be inspired? Get ready for the book that will touch your heart and ignite your spirit. Whispers of Resilience, Personal Stories of Living with MS is now available for purchase. Have you ever wanted to peek into the lives of individuals who have triumphed over adversity? Look no further. This highly anticipated anthology brings together a group of exceptionally talented authors, all living with multiple sclerosis, who share their personal journeys with unyielding honesty and vulnerability. At www.resiliencemindset.com.au, you can now secure your copy of this remarkable book that captures the essence of resilience, hope, and the power of the human spirit. Dive into the stories that will captivate your imagination and open your heart to the triumphs and challenges faced by these courageous individuals. With each turn of the page, you'll witness the unbreakable spirit of these authors, as they navigate the unpredictable terrain of MS. Their words will inspire you, uplift you, and remind you of the incredible strength that lies within. Visit www.resiliencemindset.com.au now and embark on a transformative journey through the pages of Whispers of Resilience. Get your copy today.